Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, December 10 in Manila. I'm John Garcia from PSE's Market Education Department, and welcome to PSE's last stock market webinar for the year. Christmas season is here, and for many working Filipinos, it's also time for the 13th month pay, and for some, bigayan na ng Christmas bonus. So after nearly 2 years of being stuck at home because of the pandemic, people are now starting to go out. And because of excess disposable income, naku, kating-kati na tayong gumastos, to spend for ourselves and for our loved ones. And that's fine because we deserve that. We deserve to treat ourselves. So after an economic slump, because of the lockdown, this phenomenon is actually becoming more widespread, that there is now actually a term for it: revenge spending. So how can we control our holiday spending during this Christmas season? We have invited a colleague from Rampver Financials to discuss how to stay on top of our finances and investments during the holidays. So stay tuned, and we might find ways to turn this revenge spending into revenge investing. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. This should not be construed as a professional, financial, or investment advice or recommendation from the PSE. So as I have mentioned earlier, we have invited our friend from Rampver Financials to allow us to introduce him first before we go to his presentation. So our guest this afternoon is the President and CEO of Rampver Financials, one of the largest distributors of investment funds in the Philippines. He is a serial entrepreneur with companies and endeavors in multiple industries. He is the lead independent director of Globe Telecom and Ayala Land Logistics Holdings Corporation, and independent director of Ayala Land and National Reinsurance Corporation, all listed companies in the Philippine Stock Exchange. So he is also the chairman of Singapore Life Philippines and the Soldivo Funds, and director of Esquire Financing, Seedbox Technologies, G Exchange Inc., the Blue Leaf, the Cullinan Group, and Mobile Group Inc., to name a few. So he is recognized as one of the best business, leadership, finance, marketing, and sales speakers in the country. He is also a best-selling author, financial advisor, and business mentor. So we are so lucky to have him with us this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Rex Mendoza. Good afternoon, Rex. Glad to have you with us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, John. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we are very thrilled and we're so looking forward to your presentation. Pero before that, we know that Rampver has been very active in educating Filipinos about personal finance, both on Facebook and YouTube. So can you give us an overview of the content that you produce and the services that you extend to our kababayans there at Rampver?
We're a full-blown open architecture company, John. No, it's very unique because we cut across. We have partner stock brokerages that we can link up our clients to. We have all the mutual funds in this country within our platform. And we have insurance, life and non-life, healthcare. So it's really a total comprehensive package. So our clients can actually get everything through us. If not from us, we link them up to people who will be in the best position to serve them.
So parang one-stop shop na itong Rampver. Binibigay na lahat ng services na kailangan ng ating mga Filipino investors.
Yes, pero dyan ang talagang namin, and as you said it, our real specialty is the education part. Kasi doon talaga nag-uumpisa. That's why we teach people, simple steps to wealth creation, what it is to know about investments. And pinakamalaki dito, and I think that's makikisegue na ako dun sa topic ko, is the behavioral side of investing. Kasi alam mo naman, mga Pilipino tayo, we're very emotional people. Talagang yun ang kailangan nating, hindi naman kontrolin or sabihin na nating yun ang kailangan nating bigyan daan to be directed towards the right path.
Nako, mukhang napaka-interesting ng ating discussion this afternoon. Okay, Rex, we're so excited for your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Again, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. It's really an honor and a privilege, as I've said. It's a very opportune time in the market. It is December, the festive season. So a lot of people are thinking about making investments, but also somehow spending a lot of money getting into the holiday season. So let me just tee off my slides just to make sure that all of you see it. Okay, so basically this is the bull, the bear, and the bonus. But the real focus that I'm going to be having for all of you will be turning revenge spending into revenge investing. Now, there is a little bit of concern kasi, nga, magpapasko, we all probably would have gotten Christmas bonuses and somehow a little bit of money from, everything that has transcended. No, we cannot go out and stuff like that. So there is really this phenomenon of revenge investing. And basically, COVID has a lot to do with it. No, what has COVID done to the Filipino consumer? So much impact, so many realizations. But for the Filipino consumer, ano ba talaga yung mga relevant things na nangyari? Number one, restricted mobility due to the lockdown. So we weren't able to go out of our houses. Basically, we had to do everything here. Study, go to work, and, mingle with others, where we're stuck with socializing through a machine. No, retail shops and restaurants were closed or just offered limited service or deliveries. And countries were shutting down borders. The airports are not open, and if ever they are, there are very strict quarantine protocols. So we got stuck. I mean, socially, in a way that we were supposed to, were more or less constrained. And mind you, there are two sets of people. No, may mga talagang nahirapan. They got out of work, they lost their jobs. Some people got pay cuts. So medyo hirap. But there is a lot in terms of number na meron talagang trabaho that continuously earned money. They didn't even get pay cuts. In fact, this would have been a blessing to some. Yung mga nasa IT, yung mga nasa industries that really did very well, no? In terms of the pandemic. So for them, the income was there and the consumerism was kind of postponed. It was kind of stalled. So people are saying there would be a possibility for this. Revenge spending. Nasabi ni John kanina, revenge spending. How do you define revenge spending? It is a term used to explain the urge. No, it's a desire. People have to spend money in order to essentially make up for lost time. Since March 2020, maraming hindi nakalabas. Ngayon lang uli lumalabas. This is lost time. So I will have to recover, all of these months that I'm not out there, that I'm not shopping, that I'm not traveling. And this trend usually takes place after an unprecedented event or a crisis, such as a global pandemic. Now, maybe, maglalagay din ako ng poll to also have a bit of a feel as to how everyone, really considers this particular situation. Simple lang yung poll ko, simple lang yung tanong ko. Do you think you are guilty? Or kung hindi pa kayo guilty dahil hindi pa kayo lumalabas, lalabas pa lang kayo soon. Do you think you're guilty or about to be guilty of revenge spending? Are you in a way likely to be guilty, if not guilty yet, of revenge spending? Nag-iisip na ba kayo kung anong gagawin nyo paglabas nyo? Biyahe ba kayo? Kakain ba kayo sa labas? Yes or no? Just let me know. In all honesty, is the urge and the desire for revenge spending there? We'd like to know. So, tingnan natin ang results natin dyan. I'd like to see how honest our viewers are. Tingnan natin kung ano ang sagot nila dito. Wow! No would be 57%. 43% says yes. Wow. Really, really good. Alam nyo, too much realization from the pandemic. And I guess those lessons have hit people hard. And maybe that's the reason why our answers are like that. Which is, for me, okay. At least lamang sa 50-50 yung mga hindi magre-revenge spending. But let me say that there is really a psychological makeup for that to happen. It's not that easy to avoid it. The temptation is there because of certain things, no? Certain things. And I'd like to be able to present to you, saan ba nanggagaling yung revenge spending? what are the reasons why people are even considering it or people are getting guilty of it? Number one, framed personal realizations. Alam nyo, any pandemic can give you a realization. Now, it depends on the mindset and the perspective that you have. Some people, and I can say a good number, would say, ang realization ko, para saan yung pera ko? Right? I got stuck in the house. You know, I've been living a responsible life. I've been saving up and investing. Para saan yan? Kung mamamatay lang pala ako. You know, I have friends who actually, you know, unfortunately died because of COVID. But our other common friends think that, you know, baka sayang yung pagiging responsable ko, nag-ipon ako ng todo, tapos mako-COVID din pala ako, mamamatay ako. Sayang lang yung lahat ng pinagsakripisyuhan ko. So there is a realization like that and people will say, you know, if I have the chance, I'll spend it na lang. I'll now enjoy myself because you'll never know how short life can be. Number two, boredom during the lockdown. Siyempre, we got bored, you know, after a while. Netflix is Netflix, you know, all of these things that can entertain us. There is a limitation. We have to go out there and flex our social muscles. Nawala yung socials natin eh. You know, the way we can eat out, dine out, have coffee with friends, talk, inuman, naging E-numan, di ba? You know, we're all drinking our own drink and we're in front of the screen, we're in Zoom, nagiging inuman tayo just to be social. But you know, there is a big difference between that and getting face-to-face. So there is a bit of a muscle atrophy. We want to be social. We're great social animals. Filipino pa tayo, so that is taken in such a high level. No? YOLO and FOMO mentality. You know, you only live once and the fear of missing out. All of these things put us in a frame where, you know, I have to do this. I have to advance. You know, there's something, a luxury that I thought I should be getting 10 years from now, but because of COVID, I'll advance that just to make sure that I experience it. What if I get hit with COVID? Baka hindi ko pa ito ma-experience. Diba? So those YOLO and FOMO, you know, feelings or psychologies will have to be resisted. No? Ito, napakaganda. Perfect justifications. Ang ganda nito. Alam niyo kung ano mga justification? Ang dami natin narinig ha. By spending after the economy opens up, after the market opens up, by spending, I help people. Ayan. Di ba? Pag ikaw daw ay gumagasta, you're helping the economy recover. So di ba justified na kailangan mamili ka, kailangan tumodo ka kasi nakakatulong ka eh, di ba? Nag-shopping ka na, nakakatulong ka pa. Yan ang klase ng justification that somehow we get the weight on para na nasasabi natin sa ating sarili, this is the right thing to do. You know, that's how we increase our level of confidence for anything that we'd like to have. Again, I will repeat this many times. My good friend Randall Chongson has said this, money is behavioral. It's not technical. And that's the reason why we really have to get down to like the real bottom line of this. And lastly, I deserve more than this. You know, the realization that you deserve more. And since you deserve more, if you're going to be having an opportunity to get out there, you're going to get out there and you're going to do buying, spending more than you ever did. But that's just half of the story. Half of the story is the consumer. Ang hindi natin naiisip, aba, ready rin ang nagtitinda. The retail sector, airlines, hospitality, all of these people are in, you know, the trenches. They're not, you know, operating for a long time. Do you think they're just sleeping it through? No, they're also readying up. You know, all of these people, these retail services, the malls, the airlines, hotels and resorts, they also have their own timelines and strategies. Hinahanda rin nila talaga yung revenge spending. And I'll tell you, some of them do a very good job. You're going to be aligned with them. Yung phase 1, that's probably last year, shock and adjustment, no? Most of them went into a phase of austerity dahil sarado sila and they put their communication at the service of crisis management. The focus for them was to survive. Now, at this time, the last 3 to 4 months, reactivate and engage na sila. Even the malls have online connections. Even the malls started to have online platforms. Alam naman nila na hindi kayo masyadong bibili doon. Pero they connect to you. They build anticipation. So the brands build credibility, commitment, and there are increased links, especially from digital media. Because they know phase 3 is going to happen. Phase 3 is going to happen. What is phase 3? Ayan na yung revenge spending. There will be a moment of departure and escape. They're going to be reviving communications and media to lead with intelligence and creativity. A social movement that will create a new hunger for consumption. So talagang preparado rin sila na yung benta nila ng halos 2 taon sana mababawi. And they're not sleeping on their job. They're gonna do this. So basically, if you're going to be not so aware of anything, you can be skewed towards doing that as well, or probably be employed to what they'd want to happen. But there's a flip side. This is spending. The flip side is investing. Di ba? Usapan natin, turn revenge spending into revenge investing. Because there is also a wave during the pandemic for investing to happen. And this is from the PSE. So, more so within the pandemic, our investors have become retail-oriented. So, ito na, mga individuals, very young people, they are local, and they are online. So, yan ang kaibahan. Out of the active accounts of the stock market investors, big part of them is more retail than institutional. Nakakatuwa po ito dahil dati, our markets are always dominated by the institutional players. Ngayon, retail na. They call this the rise of the retail investor. In terms of activity, it's now local versus foreign. Dati foreign yan. So much so that when they come in, we go up as a market. When they go out, we go down as a market. Ngayon, hindi pa sila bumabalik, up na ang market. Why? Because the local retail accounts are doing more volume than the international. So much so that we did not need them to come back for our markets to recover. Our markets are starting to recover with or without them. In terms of gender, parang walang halong, parang balancing-balance lang yan. Parang plus or minus 1%. Ang difference talaga dun sa age. Kung makikita nyo, they are now coming from the younger age group. Dati alam nyo naman, in this country, age can be a function of wealth. So habang tumatanda, nagiging wealthy, doon nag-i-invest sa stock market. Ngayon, bata pa lang, wala pang masyadong wealth, they are already starting their investment practice, which is very good because lagi kong sinasabi, do you become wealthy because you know how to handle money? Or do you become wealthy first because before you know how to handle money? Ano mauuna? Yung knowing how to handle money or getting wealthy? A lot of people would have thought in the past, give me the wealth, then I'll try and learn how to handle it. Alam natin ngayon, nagbago na. We all want to be able to handle the wealth so that we build it ourselves. What else is new? From the PSE data, and I'll tell you, I give a lot of credit first to our very good friends in Call Financials. My good friend there, Mr. Edward Lee, very generously lent me their materials. Ito talaga, they are the #1 retail brokerage anyway. So talagang, I really seeked him out and asked him for their materials. And part of this, was presented, like these slides that I'm going to show now, they're presented by their president, Mr. Dino Bate, in Finex, yung presentation niya dun sa rise of the retail investor. But what did they say there? And what is being said here in terms of their retail base? It is younger, more confident, and knowledgeable. So kung makikita nyo, before 2020, 2019, 40% was age 30 to 39. 40%. Pero pagdating ng 2020, their new clients, 51% come from ages 18 to 29. 30 to 39, naging 18 to 29. And it's not just, the same 40% getting claimed. It became 51%. And out of those, medyo mas may alam na. Dati, 63% know nothing of the market, but they're trading, they are investing. But today, 58% claim they know very little. Kahit limited, pero may alam. That's why they're more knowledgeable. And where do we connect this to? Again, influencers. There are, YouTube channels. There are people who have started going to, different social media outlets, even TikTok, to teach people and share the importance of investing. And then people are catching up. So much so that this is now getting to be what we call mainstream. Ito po, it kind of dates me. But I've been doing this, nakakatuwa po, I've been doing this in the late 80s. Late 80s pa po, we're doing personal finance and financial literacy already. But at that time, basta hindi guaranteed yung return, ayaw na makinig ng tao. Today, people are more educated, people are more knowledgeable, they are more confident. But I worry a little bit as well. And why am I saying that? Kung makikita nyo, the trading value was really pushed by local. Kaya sinabi ko kanina, can you imagine, January 2021, 75% local, 25% foreign. So largely, nagdadala retail local. Pero tingnan nyo yung trading flows. Index versus non-index. Yung non-index, 88%. Yung index, 12% lang. Are we getting to be investors who are basically opportunistic? Are people investing to basically earn more money? Nakakatakot din po eh. Baka mamaya mali din yung ating reasons for investing. It might also give us, a little bit of connection to wrong emotions, like greed, right? There is a tendency for that to happen. So again, I'm very happy we're getting more retail and more younger people are investing. But they have to do this right as well. Ang problema rin natin, pag hindi tama ang pundasyon, we can also be in a very precarious position. And why am I saying that? Kasi dati, okay lang eh. Mayaman na mga nag-i-invest dati. Magkamali man sila, it just probably makes a little dent in their wealth base. But today, bata, tapos hindi pa masyadong mayaman. Karamihan ng accounts by net worth nandun sa below 500,000. So they haven't really made the money yet. They're not exactly that stable yet. Shouldn't they be more focused on core investing? Should they be more focused on responsible investing? The right concepts of asset allocation, matching risk and reward expectation? Or kailangan ba tsupitero tayong lahat, inaabangan natin yung magandang IPO, kung ganun ba dapat? So again, if there is a wrong thing about spending, revenge spending, there can also be some things that are issues with investing. So clearly, we have to take note of these two and make sure that we are in the right foothold to make ourselves take on the right path. So ang tanong ng marami, Rex, save or invest? Spend or invest? That question has always been asked of me. Spend or invest? Or pwede ba share? But I guess the counterbalance has always been spending and investing. Now, I probably try to be a very different financial advisor for all of you today because my contention for a lot of you who know me is always this. Bakit hindi end? Bakit kailangan or? I'm just being serious about this because karamihan, pag sinabing invest, invest na lang, nawawala yung spend. Kaya some people don't cross the line because they think it's a sacrifice. When you say it's end, that means you do both in a very responsible way. And when you do both in a responsible way, you enjoy doing both. And you know what happens when you enjoy both? You make it sustainable. That is key. To make it sustainable means you will continuously do it because you are enjoying it. Hindi pwedeng, di ba? Invest, nakalimutan mo yung spending. tas gigipitin mo yung sarili mo, masama ang pakiramdam mo. It will never be sustainable. It will not be consistent. So the thrust is to spend and invest wisely. Spend wisely, invest wisely. So the first thing for me, first and foremost, off the blocks, dapat natutunan natin to because of the pandemic. This is the hard lesson for a lot of people. They did not have this. Bago mag-spend, bago mag-invest, emergency fund muna. Emergency fund muna. Before you even spend, before you even start investing, build up your emergency funds. There will always be emergencies that will happen to your life. You don't want to divest from investments, and you don't want to sell what you have bought with your collections and all that just because you have an emergency to take care of. There has to be money for emergencies to put you in a very stable position that your investments and your spending can continue. So before you even deal with anything, make sure you pay your debts and establish an emergency fund. When you have debts like mortgage, okay lang yan. Asset-backed yan. When you're borrowing against something because you have a business, okay yan. But if you have debts that you have accumulated because of emergencies in the past, debts that you have accumulated because you bought things that you cannot afford, please pay those debts first. So make sure you have an emergency fund. Then we move forward. O dito, magbabago yung mapapakinggan nyo. Because this is something I always tell people. Reward yourself. Reward yourself with what excites you. Problema, pag masyado tayong miser. Okay? My contention as a financial advisor will always be this. You have to enjoy this process to continue doing it. I don't have anything against luxuries. Luxuries are good. Why? Because if I have my luxuries, I also feel good about it. My body, my mind tells me I'm doing the right thing. So I'll do it continuously and consistently. Pag masyado mong tinitipid ng sarili mo, sacrifice yan. Ano mangyayari? You will get back. After succeeding, reaching a few milestones, i-recover mo yan. Ibabalik mo. So, mas mabuti na yung may konting luho. Pero kailangan, kurot, wag dakot. That's a rule. Ang rule ko sa luxury, dapat kumukurot ka lang. Kasi yung principal mo, investment yun eh. So, minsan ang kurot mo, pakunting-kunting nice dinner here and there, masarap na pagkain, a little bit of like travel, maybe when it opens up, kasama yan. Pero kailangan kurot. Pag dinakot mo, wala kang maitatabi. So, it's very important that we do that. So, now, I'll focus on what is wise spending and what is wise investing. It's very clear, no? And John mentioned earlier, we do have a YouTube channel that's getting to be so popular now. Ito, right smack into this, meron akong video on how to spend money wisely. And that by itself is about, 30 minutes. So, syempre, hindi ko yan pwedeng i-discuss dito lahat, but some of the snippets of that, I will. Okay, number one, revisit your income and expense flows. This pandemic put you in a situation where nagbago yung income flow mo, nagbago yung expense flow mo. Will that mean you're gonna go back to the old normal once it opens up? You're not supposed to. You're supposed to have learned your lesson. So dapat bago na yung income and expense flow mo. In fact, for those of you who earned more income and were able to limit the expense, dapat ang realization, pwede naman pala eh. So kung pwede pala, maybe you get to go to step 2, recalibrate investment goals. Dati ang pangarap mo, makaipon ka lang ng ganito for, like let's say retirement, 5 million. Eh dahil pala sa pandemic, kung dami kang natipid, baka mamaya yung retirement fund mo, you can kick up to about 7 million or 8 million. Why not? You're in a position to revisit your expense and income flows so much so that you can have bigger goals for your financial future. I want you to think through this process. You know why? Because your future self, your future older self will thank your current younger self. You will have to go through this process. And once you move forward, you now budget. Dapat binabudget mo yung enjoyment and spending. Kaya ang problema ng marami, walang budgeting, you go out, revenge, ubos. Hindi lang ubos, umuutang ka pa o na credit card. What if you calibrate your inflows and expenses and come up with a budget na kasama na yung enjoyment? Yes, kakain ka sa labas. Pero ngayon, imbes na 3 days a week, kaya naman pala ng once a week lang eh. Dito nga sa pandemic, everyday sa bahay ka kumain. Pwede pala, di ba? Dati parang hindi tayo mabubuhay nang hindi tayo nakalabas ng 3 times eh. So ngayon, kaya naman palang wala. Sige, bigyan mo yung sarili mo ng 1 o 2 instead of 3 or 4. Which means, you can now impute a higher level of enjoyment in your budget without going through it very excessively. Kasama na siya sa budget. I want you to budget for that enjoyment. This is where the rubber meets the road. Experience over possessions. Many of us try to collect certain things. You know, the great sneakers, the nice bags. As I've told you, I have nothing against those. Pero sometimes we take it to a much higher level. We don't control ourselves. That's when it becomes bad. Okay? Sabi nila, experiences last longer, especially for high-value items. Ito totoo to This is a psychological phenomenon. When you buy a big thing, like a very expensive bag, a car, you know, those things, jewelry, you know, a very expensive watch, there is such a thing as hedonic adaptation. Ayan, naku, napakabigat na salita. Hedonic adaptation is, you know, you're feeling too good when it's new. But after 2-3 months, your enjoyment actually dives down. I'm so sure you experience that. Bago bag mo, ang taas ng level of excitement and anticipation mong gamitin siya. Pero pag 4 o 5 buwan na siya, hindi na masyado. So, yun daw, very, very visible pagdating ng big ticket item na actual na produkto. But if you go towards experiences, especially with loved ones, you relive it even in memory. Magkaiba eh. Yung hawak mo yung bag mo, hindi mo na yung natatandaan. Pero yung trip mo last year, yung trip mo before the pandemic, hanggang ngayon natatandaan mo pa eh. So in terms of happiness hacks, you will be happier because your memory relives the happiness. Your memory takes it back. It doesn't have to go into hedonic adaptation. In fact, it becomes multiples. And then that leads me to another one which says, spend little but do it more often. So ang challenge ko sa inyo, ganito think about this. For the guys, it's an expensive watch. For the ladies, it's an expensive bag. Let's just say, 50,000 bag. 50,000 bag. What makes you happier? One-time purchase of 50,000? Or 25 times to dine out with a budget of 2,000 pesos? Ayan, di ba? 25 times kang makakalabas. Very often, which kicks up your level of happiness kasi madalas eh. Madalas eh. Kaysa isang bag lang na one time, big time, 3 to 4 months, nag-win na. The 50,000 can be directed at something else which can multiply happiness. Because sabi nila sa experiential, ganito pa eh. Di ba? May memory management ka na after. Meron ka pang anticipation before. Di ba? Pag sinabi mong to your significant other or to your girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, I'm going to treat you out to a great dinner. Pag sinabi ko yun ng Wednesday at Sabado pa tayo lalabas, the anticipation from Wednesday to Saturday lifts up happiness. That is anticipation. And after that is memory management from what happened through that dinner. So, mas na-invest mo, na-stretch mo daw yung happiness with that. And lastly, giving and sharing. I think I don't have to, you know, really bring this down really at a high level. Kasi alam dapat natin to. You know, giving, when you're on the side of giving, you experience more in terms of joy and wealth. Kasi pag ikaw ang nagbibigay, you feel that abundance eh. Kasi hindi ikaw ang tinutulungan. That's very important. When you're giving to the people who are in need, the people who have less in life than you kind of feel abundant because you're the one contributing kaysa ikaw ang binibigyan. So you give and share You uplift the level of happiness. Now, next, syempre, meron din naman tayo dapat strong conviction for investing. If we're going to limit our revenge spending and we're now going to go and flow into investing and the strong conviction for it, what are the things to look at? You look at the recovery from the pandemic. That would be increased level of vaccinations. Surprise of all surprises, we're now vaccinating over 1 million a day. Over, like, I think there was a day when we even hit 2 million. So darating ang panahon talaga in 2022, much earlier than what the naysayers were saying. Naysayers were saying 2023 pa yung herd immunity. Ngayon, tingnan nyo, lahat ng usapan, 2022 may herd immunity na. And the increased mobility is happening today as we speak. With that comes a higher level of OFW remittances. Hindi bumaba. OFW remittances are now even better than 2019, pre-pandemic. Alam nyo naman how big a pillar of our economy would be the OFW remittances. There would be also a surge and growth in the BPOs. IT BPM has been steadily rising again. On top of that, nakalimutan na natin, demographic variable. Average age of Filipinos, 23, median age, 24. In terms of economy, this is what HSBC, this is what Goldman Sachs have been using to predict that the Philippines will be in the top 50 economies of the world in about 30 years. That's the reason. Age dependency. Mas maraming nagtatrabaho, mas maraming contributor to the financial growth of the country. Very little 65 and up. Kaya naman pataas na pataas ang senior citizen benefits dahil kukunti lang sila. And then on the bottom, you also control population growth. So yung mga batang pinapaaral, pinapalaki, also limited. So that's huge for our country moving forward. Ito yung mga hindi na pag-uusapan puro mga election issues ang naririnig natin. But these are the fundamentals that I tell people. Whoever wins as president will have this as a plus. Sana lang, wag naman nilang inegate, di ba? Sana lang. Then, strong financial systems and banks. The key to a country's recovery from any pandemic or crisis will be the strength of its financial system. Compared to 2008 and 1997, ang mga bangko natin ngayon nagdidibidendo pa eh. They've in fact over-provisioned for non-performing loans. So we will have the legs, the fundamentals to weather this storm. We will have the wherewithal to grow afterwards. And again, the plus would be the build. 248 kilometers of roads, railways, even a subway to be delivered in 5 years. How much do you think the metropolis will be in terms of real estate? How much do you think the briskness of the economy will be if this all gets delivered? So the push towards revenge investing is to think that we shouldn't let a good crisis go to waste. I have been in this market, I've been an investor, ladies and gentlemen, for almost 4 decades now. This kind of ages me. 4 decades now. At masasabi ko lagi, the best time for my net worth to really move is during a crisis period. I feel that we're in 2009 to 2012, even up till 2013. Yan yung mga years after 2008. Ganun na ganun ang feeling ko. And this is actually getting to unfold before my eyes. And for those of you who are listening, sayang if you don't take advantage of it. Because things like this don't happen that often. Your chance to be able to get your net worth really moving is always a function of the crisis that you go through, the experiences that you have. And I can push that na parang sinasabi nila, oh, it's December, Christmas, the festive feel and mood, the vibe to spend. O teka lang, sa investing ganun din ha. Hindi lang festive na mamimili tayo for gifts, for the merrymaking of the holidays. Think about it. This is the PSEI heat map. This is from our friends from ATR Asset Management. Look at October, November, December. Out of all those months in the last 5 years, 66% of the time, ang ibig sabihin nito, 66% of the time, up ang market ng October. November, 33% of the time, up ang market ng November. So, mas malaki yung down niya kaysa up. Pero tingnan nyo December. Yan ang tinatawag kong Santa Claus Rally. I have another video on that. Santa Claus Rally. Out of the last 5 years, tuwing December, up ang market, 100%. Yung festive feel ng Pinoy moves from the mall and it also goes to the stock market. 10-year hit ratio. Tingnan nyo December, 82% up. And look at the pluses. 5 years, average 2.4 in December. 10 years, average 1.3. Walang lugi. Hindi na lugi in the last 5 years. Tapos yung average niya 2.4. So maybe now is the time to do this as well. But I'd like you to get into the clear fundamentals. Set clear financial goals. I don't want you to invest just to make more money. That's the wrong thing to do. You throw risk out the window when you do that. Enjoy the process. Alam nyo kinukompare ko ito lagi. Para ka nagpapapayat. Anong gagawin mo? Hindi ka kakain, mag-exercise ka, maghihirap ka, it's painful. Guess what happens when you limit your weight? You will reward yourself. Gumaan ka na bumaba na timbang mo O you will reward yourself. How do you reward yourself? Kakain ka. So in about 2 months, mataba ka na ulit. Diba? Dapat enjoy mo yung process. Dapat pareho ka ng mga kaibigan natin na laging nasa gym. At pag hindi nakapag-gym for the week, medyo hindi maganda ang takbo ng katawan, hindi masaya, dahil gusto nila laging nasa gym. Tapos yung gusto nilang kainin, yung healthy food. Ganon din ang financial journey. You have to do the right things, but you have to enjoy it. That's why I like rewarding oneself. I like making sure that you're happy within the process because you make it consistent and continuous. Strive for continuous learning. Let us not be happy with limited knowledge of the market. Learn to earn. Alam niyo yun ang problema ng Pilipino, ang pinapanood, Korean novela, BTS, kung ano-ano. That's why I tell my kids, please, if you're going to be watching certain things, try to entertain yourself also with things that can make you learn to earn. Okay? So, hindi naman po laging Netflix. Paminsan-minsan, mag-Rexflix kayo. Okay? So, I'm putting this up. It's a QR code. Pag binaril nyo yan, you will get into our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out what's there. You will learn a lot of things from there. And you can just go to YouTube and say, Rex Mendoza or Rampver Financials, all of the topics. I will tell you, that's a wealth of information. Dati po, binabayaran niya mga ganyang courses. Dati may mga enrollment ka. People pay for that. When I was a lot younger, I don't learn those things for free. Today, you can go to YouTube. You can go to all of these social media channels. I put in our website here, rampver.com, Viber with Rampver Front Seat. Kung nag-mutual funds kayo, 51% sa inyo. Ano nangyayari? You go to each fund house to check NAVPS. Abay, pag nag-enroll kayo dito, sumali kayo dun sa Viber group na Rampver Front Seat, you will get all the mutual funds NAVPS every day. Hindi nyo na kailangan magbisita ng iba-ibang website. Every day, you will get your NAVPS on all the mutual funds sold in this country. So, di ba? Walang cost. Kung gusto nyo tingnan nyo. Kung ayaw nyo, wag. Pati yung closing ng market, every day nandyan din. And then, for those of you who'd like a little help, who'd like to say, okay, I'm the part of the 20%, Boss Rex, na gusto ko na mag-invest ngayon, pero wala akong kilalang stockbroker, wala akong kilalang, we have a lot of friends. Call Financials is a very, very respectable platform. My Trade, Abacus Financials is also a respectable platform. Go to us, go to info@rampver.com. We will help you. Finally, I always end my presentations with this. Always anchor everything on what truly matters. We do what we do for people we love. We do what we do for people special in your lives. Pag sila lagi ang centerpiece, pag sila lagi ang dahilan, you will never be in the lookout for motivation. You will never be wanting in terms of discipline because you're doing things for the people you love, and that's the biggest leverage of all. So please, when you invest for your objectives, and most of your objectives will be anchored in people close to your heart. With that, ladies and gentlemen, maraming salamat po. I went a little bit over time. I am so sorry for that, but I hope you picked up a lot from our session today. Maraming pong salamat and blessings always.
Thank you, Sir Rex, for that insightful presentation. Ako, nag-uumapaw, sir, ang aking natutunan. No? Talagang ang daming quotable quotes. Pati yung mga comments ng ating mga participants. No? Wow na wow daw sa mga advice na natanggap nila sa'yo this afternoon. And I'm sure, no, marami din silang mga tanong. So we've covered quite a bit about managing the finances. Ang ganda ng presentation na binigay sa atin. It's very holistic, understanding how our economy works and how it will work as we move towards our path to recovery. Napakaganda that the vaccination drive is ongoing, nagbubukas na ito. So I'm sure maraming mga questions. Ako, may mga questions din para sa iyo, Sir Rex. So it's time for us to open the floor for the live Q&A segment. So yung mga participants natin sa Zoom, type your questions in the Q&A box. Naku, ang daming mga like and heart reactions sa ating live stream. So yung mga participants natin sa Facebook, type your comments, your questions in the comment section. Okay, so Sir Rex, ganito lang naman, no? Babasahin ko yung tanong tapos sagutin. So una sa lahat siguro, before I move to the questions sa mga participants natin, kumusta kayo, sir? Kasi sabi nyo, ang daming mga nag-adjust, nagbago ang pamumuhay dahil sa pandemic. Kayo ba, paano bang mga naging changes nung tinamaan tayo ng COVID?
Well, ang masaya, no, that two facets to that. Sa family, syempre ako, I have 3 children. I have 2 daughters and 1 son. Alam mo, ang maganda sa amin talagang, we have a happy family. No, sabi ko nga, overstaying na itong 2 border ko, no. They have they have a very good life, they have great jobs, they have actually a lot of money. Alam mo, pag nag-uusap kami ng lunchtime, pinag-uusapan namin kung anong binili nila sa stock market, what do we, iba yung kwentuhan eh. We're not going to be talking about what you have bought in Lazada. Hindi namin napagkikwentuhan yun. Napagkukwentuhan namin, saan ka pumosisyon ngayon? Something like that. So, masaya kami within the pandemic, and this was the time when my wife cooked a lot of good dishes. Alam mo, medyo bumigat ako dyan, kailangan ito yung ayusin ko pagkatas nito. Parang ako But on the business side, kasi Rampver before was largely face-to-face. We have a lot of financial advisors. We go to our clients face-to-face. Pero ito, adjust talaga kami. We had to do everything online. Like what we do today, no? Dati itong mga ganitong talk, live ito nasa isang auditorium ako or nasa isang function room ako ng hotel. Pero alam mo, nakakatuwa, mas matipid, hindi ba? We now have events where we have 10,000 viewers, 20,000 viewers. Dati papakainin mo lahat yun. Ang gastos nun, babiyahe ka. Ngayon, medyo Zoom na lang, okay na. So, nakaganda sa kumpanya namin. We were able to pivot, and we are able to do a lot of good things within the pandemic. So, ako nga masasabi ko, parang sumikat yata kami ng konti dun sa pandemic rather than before it.
Maganda nga, no? It's nice that itong technology, sir, na maximize natin. Totoo yan, kahit kami dito sa PSE na experience namin na mas naka-reach out po tayo sa mga kababayan natin as far as educating them. Kanina, sir, sa presentation ninyo, pinakita nyo yung trend na yung the rise of the retail investor, na maganda ito, yung local binibitbit ang ating market, mga local investors. Pero at the same time, meron ka ring nakitang concerning na data, yung mas nagpo-focus yung ating mga retail investors dun sa mga non-index stocks or yung mga opportunistic. Ano ba yung opportunistic investing or opportunistic trading? Ano ba ang downside sa pagiging opportunistic sa market?
Okay, okay lang naman yung opportunistic ka, but you have to know what you're doing. Ang nagiging problema, pag hindi na tumitingin sa fundamentals yung mga tao, yung excitement na lang. Hindi natin maalis yan. Merkado ito eh. So, nangyayari, nagkakaroon minsan ng bandwagon. So, parang it's almost like sa shopping may FOMO, sa investing may FOMO din eh. Diba? So, pag may umakyat ng 20%, 30%, kahit hindi niya masyadong naiintindihan kung anong kumpanya yun, kung ano, kumikita ba yun, basta sasabak na rin siya, mag-i-invest na rin siya. So sa akin, ako naman nagiging opportunistic din, pero somehow there has to be a logic behind the action. Kaya ako ina-advise ko, I don't know if you agree with me, John, but ako ina-advise ko, pwede ba dalawahin mo yung portfolio mo? Yung may core portfolio ka, doon nakasalalay yung talagang mga important goals mo like retirement, the education of your kids, your future with your family, di ba? Yung ganun. Core dapat yun. So syempre, ang laman nun, yung mga Ayala Corporation, Ayala Land, di ba? Yung mga blue chips na tinatawag natin, di ba? Pero meron akong nakahiwalay. Siyempre, alam mo, Pilipino tayo dyan, kasama tayo sa payabangan, di ba? Pag medyo yung mga kaibigan mo, up ng 50%, ikaw hindi. Parang naiwan ka sa pansitan. So meron akong tinatawag na trading portfolio. Di ba? Yung trading portfolio, nandyan yung laro. Di ba? Alam mo, nagiging problema ng marami, halos lahat yung portfolio trading lang. Tapos pag naiipit, long term na.
Delikado.
Yan ang problema. So para sa akin, you always invest for a reason and you have to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Napakaganda niyan, no? Having a core portfolio and a portion na panglaro. Si Monzen Malyari from Facebook is asking, since we're talking about portfolio management and Rampver being also a distributor of mutual funds, do you recommend passive or active investing or a mix of both?
I will always recommend a mix. Pero even before I say so, sa akin dyan, very important dito yung tinatawag na different folks, different strokes.
Right.
Okay? Kasi pag marunong ka na, syempre you can really go active investing. Because you have the acumen, you have the experience. Pero yung mga novices talaga, yung 20% na kanina pinol mo, hindi pa nag-i-invest. Minsan sinasabihan ko sila, alam nyo, baka mas maganda, baby steps muna tayo. You can invest in, like let's say, equity funds or index funds, di ba? Kahit pa paano, ang underlying security nun, stocks pa din eh. Pero merong kang kasangga na expert na fund manager.
Tama.
Hindi kayong, alam mo ba yung parang, ang biruan dito pag minsan, Jan, I will have to come up with an analogy of this. Parang mahjong, di ba? Uupo ka kagad, sigurado patay ka doon sa mga hustler na kaharap mo. So, sa umpisa, baka pwedeng bumakas ka muna, di ba? Isilipin mo yung pinakamagaling, bakas ka, tapos aralin mo kung anong ginagawa niya, and then pag natuto ka na, pwede ka nang umupo din. So, there is a graduation, di ba? Now, the people naman, minsan sabi nila, hindi, kaya ko na. Pero kung kaya mo na nga, huwag ka naman dun sa mga risky assets, di ba? Sabi ko nga, kung sa blue chips ka, long term, hindi ka naman magkakamali, kahit anong pandemic yan. Pag sinabi mong Ayala Corp is Ayala Corp, di ba? Hindi naman mawawala na yan na isang bula. So, depende rin kung saan mo nilalagay.
Ayun. Ito napakagandang tanong, ano? Isingit ko lang, kapapasok baka kasi matabunan sa chat. Si Romel Kapunan, yung emergency fund ba pwedeng ipasok sa money market fund?
That's correct. Kasi ang money market fund is a convenience account eh. Di ba? Mabilis yan. So ako, guys, let's be very honest with this. Again, we are an advisor. We have relationships with many different companies. Pero ako ngayon, kailangan tingnan nyo, kilatisin nyo yung nasa labas. Kasi ang emergency fund, number one, dapat accessible. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabing patulugin nyo lahat. Okay? So ngayon, when I say 3 months to 6 months of your income, siguro a good percentage of that nasa ATM account. Para anytime pwede mo hugutin. Nasa ATM. Minsan nga dapat part of it nasa GCash. Okay? Pero tingnan mo, nasa GCash ka ngayon, merong GSave eh. Ang taas ng interest nun, talo nun ng ibang mga time deposit.
Maabot ng 4%.
Exactly. So
meron
pwede mong ilagay,
diba?
Pwede mong ilagay yun dyan, pwede mong ilagay, so kikita ka ng 4%, tapos ang daling withdrawin kasi from CIMB or yung GSave, ililipat mo sa GCash mo, tapos may withdrawin mo. So, convenient din siya, pero napataas mo yung yield mo. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na emergency fund, wala kang kikitain. Ang importante lang, accessible. Okay? Now, pag sinabi mo sa akin, emergency fund, nilagay mo ngayon sa stock fund, like index, mali yun. Kasi di ba, may volatility yun eh. Huwag kang maglalagay sa volatile. Dapat, sa emergency fund, 2 words. 2 words very important. Accessible, okay? Accessible, and kung maaari, risk-free. Yung walang volatility. Kasi emergency eh. Di ba? Pag ikaw, kailangan mo hugutin, tapos mababa yung value, paano yan? Magkakaroon ka ng capital loss. Yun ang iniiwasan natin.
Yun, thank you so much. Nako, napakaganda niyan, ano, kasi yung iba iniisip pag emergency fund talaga nakalagay lang lahat sa bangko. Meron pa pala tayong mga ibang pwedeng paglagyan. Accessible and at the same time relatively stable. Si
Yes.
Jocelyn Baron is asking naman, kasi meron tayong produkto na REIT, yung Real Estate Investment Trust. Ano bang mas maganda, Sir Rex? Mag-invest sa real estate talaga or sa REIT, sa Real Estate Investment Trust?
Okay. Alam mo, ang definition ko niya napakaganda, John. Alam mo kasi sa akin, ang REIT, the REIT is the mutual fund of real estate. Di ba?
Ayun.
Ganun siya eh. Ganun
Mm.
siya eh. Parang hindi naintindihan ng marami. In fact, again nung bumagsak ang yung unang-unang REIT, yung A-REIT, bumagsak yun nag-2010. Alam mo, naglabas ako agad ng video. Hindi ito naiintindihan ng mga tao. At 2010, it was really a great bargain. Balikan mo yung video ko na yon. I told a lot of people what to consider in REITs. E tingnan mo ngayon, 46 na, di ba?
Oo nga.
Nag-2014. So, let me go back to that question. Kasi, sa real estate, minsan masyadong malaki yung unang investment. Di ba? Bibili ka ng condo, bibili ka ng apartment or ng house and lot for rent or an office space. Not a lot of Filipinos can afford it. If you can afford it, why not? Maganda pa rin yung asset, nasa pangalan mo, ikaw lang ang may-ari, may control ka. And again, the ultimate advantage of owning the real estate itself is future options. Kasi nag-asawa yung anak mo, di ba? Pwede mong ibigay, pwede mong patirhan. You know, all of these things are important. It's not enough to have assets. It's also important that you have options for your assets. But, what if wala kang like let's say 20,000 lang ang pera mo. Paano ka makakabili ng kondo? 20,000 lang ang pera mo eh. O ilalagay ko ngayon yan sa REIT. Sa isang REIT, nakataya ka sa lahat ng office properties na inilagay ng isang property manager or real estate developer sa REIT niya. Tapos ang kabakas mo, ang fund manager nun is the property manager, which is Ayala Land, Mega World, yung pinakadalubhasang mga kumpanya dito sa atin. So, ang nangyayari, sila nagpapatakbo, sila nagpaparenta, sila nagme-maintain, pero puwersado sila to release the dividends to you.
Right.
90% ng kikitain nila ibibigay sa iyo eh. So, wala kang kahirap-hirap, wala kang iniintindi. Tapos, hintayin mo kung nakaipon ka ng malaki-laking amount, saka ka gagraduate into your own property. But you don't have to wait for that time to invest in property. Because investing in property, may shadow investment ka through a REIT. And dahil nga sa baba ng interest rates dyan, talagang napakaganda ng REIT kasi 5 to 7% siya ngayon eh. So, talong-talo niya yung mga time deposit ng bangko.
Saka at the same time, liquid din. Ano? So,
yes.
In a way, accessible din siya.
Kasi di ba, pag bumili ka ng real estate sarili mo, biglang nangailangan ka ng pera, iliquid ang real estate. Hindi ka pwedeng... Oo, mahirap yan, matagal-tagal.
Saka hindi mo naman pwedeng ibenta na, halimbawa, yung kwarto lang o yung sala lang. Kailangan ibenta mo yung buo.
Oo. Tama ka doon. Sa REIT pwedeng... Oo, sa REIT pwedeng partial muna, di ba? Kung yun lang ang kailangan mo, di yun lang ang ibenta mo. Tama, ang laking difference niyan. Ang laking advantage niyan.
O ito, talking about opportunities. Maraming mga IPOs ngayon sa PSE. Maganda bang time mag-invest sa IPO? Ito, magandang lesson din to para sa mga investors natin kasi inaakala ng iba, basta IPO, siguradong tumataas. Nakita ninyo, hindi lahat tumataas. So ano ang thoughts mo dito, Sir Rex?
Yan. Diyan, ang ganda nung sinabi mo. Hindi lahat tataas eh. Kasi akala ng marami, basta IPO, okay na yan. You know, they're all not created equal. Kaya tayo magbasa ng prospectus. Kaya tayo makipag-usap sa ating mga broker. Look at the analysis. Kasi maaring minsan, mahal yan. Or minsan talagang napaka-bargain yan. Makikita mo naman. So kailangan aralin pa rin natin. It's not a ticket, no? It's not a 100% probability nakikita ka. So watch out for certain things, no? Parang sa akin, number one, sino ba? What's the company backing it up? Sa akin kasi very important dyan yung management. Sino ba yung mga tao behind it? Ang tinatayaan mo sa isang negosyo, yung mga taong nagpapatakbo eh. Number two, ano ba yung mga assets niyan? Ano ba yung negosyo? Is it a very good brand? Is it a good business? Okay bang industry yan? Diba? Kasi sa akin, importante, dapat yung negosyo nila maganda, yung negosyo nila stable. And ito, very important sa akin dyan. I don't know if napag-usapan na to in many of the discussions sa PSE. Alam mo sa akin, very important kung saan gagamitin yung pera.
Yes.
Di ba? Minsan, may nag-IPO, gagamitin yung pera pag exit ng isang may-ari. O edi, parang hindi rin lumaki yung kumpanya. Dapat ako, feeling ko, pag ako maglalagay ng pera sa IPO, dapat yung kumpanyang makakakuha ng pera ko, gagamitin niya to grow further. Hindi yung ibubulsa niya lang at siya ang kikita. Yun, importante yun.
Yun, ang dami nating mga napag-uusapan. Naku sir, ang dami pa rin mga pumapasok na questions. Siguro isang last question na lang. Isang last question na lang kasi mag-overtime tayo. Iniintindi rin natin yung oras ni Sir Rex. Anong recommended na percentage allocation ninyo? Ayan, sa pagbubuo ng isang portfolio. Ilang percent po ba dapat sa local stocks? Kung magpo-foreign stocks sila, ilang percent? REITs, mutual funds, and okay din ba maglagay sa cryptocurrency?
Okay. Again, lagi ko sinasabi different folks, different strokes. Kaya kami sa Rampver, gusto namin makausap yung tao para alam namin, saan ba nanggagaling ang income mo? Ano bang klase ng expenses meron ka? 'Di ba? Anong experience mo? Anong knowledge mo? Kasi maraming rules of thumb. Diyan, Number one, siguro 10% emergency fund. Sa isang portfolio, minimum yan, 10%. So this should be 3 to 6 times your monthly income. Tapos, pagdating sa stocks, bonds, mutual funds, yan lahat yan, marketable securities, you can range from about 30 to 40%. 30 to 40%. And then, 10% of that, 10% additional, yun ang international. So, kung hindi ka marunong mag-invest abroad, meron naman mga mutual fund ngayon na naka-invest abroad para meron ka lang pang pang counterbalance sa local exposure mo. So, on top of that, ranges ito So, sabi ko, 10, 30, it can be 30 to 35, depende na. And then 10%. Now, the other block is maybe your real estate. Siyempre, hindi natin maalis. Gusto ng Pilipino, may sarili siyang bahay. So, anywhere from 30% din yun. So, 25 to 30%. And then, kung magnenegosyo ka, di ba? Dapat ibabawas mo yun doon sa stocks, doon sa tinatawag nating real estate mo din para ilagay mo sa business mo. And then lastly, yung tinatawag kong others, nandyan yung cryptocurrency ko, nandyan yung art. Kasi these are very volatile assets. Hindi yan, pwede kang maka one time, big time, maganda, pero hindi ko alam mo yun, hindi ko i-hedge ang retirement ko doon. Kasi if it does well, I'm happy. But I am not going to hedge my future on it. Di ba? Para lang kasali. Habang inaaral ko, and since I don't understand it too much, I won't put a lot of money on it either.
Right. Yun, napakagandang insights from our guest speaker, Mr. Rex Mendoza. Nako, sa ating mga participants, maraming salamat for sending in your questions. I'm sorry we cannot answer all of them. We are limited by the time we have. With that, we are closing our live Q&A segment. Thanks again to our guest speaker, Mr. Rex Mendoza, for sharing with us your expertise, insights, and most importantly, your invaluable time. Sana, Sir Rex, in the future, ma-invite pa ho namin kayo in our future webinars, ha? Okay, so at this point, we would like to ask for your key takeaways or parting words for our participants. Sir Rex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Well, first of all, I want to thank the PSE. I want to thank the PSE for giving me this opportunity to make a difference to your audience. So number one. Number two, another takeaway is really execution. Sabi nila, yung mga ganitong seminars, pag wala kayong ginawa, you just merely got entertained, Education without execution is mere entertainment. So please, do something about it, take on what you have learned, and put a little bit of action. Now is the best time. Ako, iniisip ko, the pandemic is simmering down, is the best time. Sayang na sayang pag hindi natin na-take advantage. And then lastly, on a personal level, alam nyo si John, nakilala ko siya dun sa isang pinagsamahan naming webinar ng BSP. I really like to tell you, John, it's not like pulling your leg or what, but, kampante ako, for an institution like the PSE to have somebody like you. Sabi ko nga sa'yo, baka imbitahin ka rin namin sa Rampver. Kasi yun ang kailangan natin Education talaga. We have a lot of people who are raring to be responsible. It's just that they're not being educated, and you being at the forefront of this really, really helps a lot. And in the final word for us, please, Rampver Financials is here. As I've said, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, connect to us in our webpage, connect to us in our Facebook page, and probably write us an email on info@rampver.com. We might be able to help you for stock trading, for mutual funds, and the like. It is our honor just to be part of your financial journey, and it is our privilege to be able to partner with the PSE on some endeavor like this that would really be a cornerstone of nation building for our country.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Rex. Means so much hearing those words from you. If you need to get in touch with the PSE team, all you need to do is call us at 8876-4888 or email info@pse.com.ph. Visit our website www.pse.com.ph for disclosures. That's edge.pse.com.ph. For investing materials, we have the PSE Academy website. Join our online community. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And watch our recorded webinars posted in PSE's YouTube channel. And while you're at it, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so whenever we post something new, you get notified. So stay tuned to our Facebook page for updates para sa ating investment expo. And mga mobile apps na useful po sa inyo, PSE Edge for information right at your fingertips, and a PSE Easy mobile app para po sa mga IPOs at FOOs. Makapag-subscribe po kayo online. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we bring this webinar to a close. This has been your host. I'm John Garcia. It has been a blast doing this webinar with you this 2021. And I hope to see you all again in 2022. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.